The case stays closed. I used to think most cases were arithmetic. Trail the right car, ask the wrong question politely, keep receipts in a shoebox the IRS would respect. I'm 26, a private investigator with a one-room office, over a pawn shop and a frosted glass door that says R. Hartley. Discretion in gold leaf that flakes like snow when the radiator runs too hot. My rules are boring on purpose. Log every call, never meet in alleys, photograph the inside of your glove compartment before and after a job, and never open evidence alone after the midnight. 2 extra from Dixon, the old-timer who sublets me the room. Donda answer unknown numbers that ring twice, and if a client won Tapiti say their name on paper, they don't get yours on a retainer. He laughed when he said it. The laugh didn't stick. By 10:58 p.m., the building had settled into one breath, radiator ticking like a metronome that hates jazz, a streetlight hum sneaking through the sash, the pawn guy downstairs testing a blender that has never met a warranty. I was closing up when the little label printer I use for file folders chattered without my thumb and spat a narrow thermal strip with no matter number, no client initials, just do not open the case. Along the edge, ghost gray digits that weren't the hour. 3:13, the wall clock over the filing cabinet said 10:59. I stuck the strip to the monitor because paper makes rules heavier. The first odd sound was polite. 2 knuckles. Tapped the frosted glass. Measured. Not impatient. I looked up expecting the blurry oval of a head. I got it. Half a beat late. And a second head. In the frosting behind my shoulder, tilted toward my ear, mouth, parted, like it had just reached the first half of Danta. I blinked. The door remembered it was paint and glass. A padded envelope sat on the floor inside my office, with no shadow to suggest how it had arrived. No postage, no return. Inside, a black notebook, sealed with string and red wax, like a theater prop that believed in itself. No name, no fee, just a Polaroid of a hallway that didn't belong to my building. Wainscoting, runner rug, a numbered door with the 3 torn off, so it read 13. The back of the photo had my address in block letters, and under it, do not open without me. The desk phone rang once, stopped, rang once again, double, then quit. Dixon's rule climbed my spine like a cold hand. The switchboard in the hall clicked to life, though no one pays for it. A voice came through the ancient grill, slow and careful, like each word had to be lowered into place with 2 fingers. Don't open. Not Dixon. Not anyone with a billable hour. The kind of voice museums use when they explain rules to hands. I logged. Unmarked delivery and abducted acoustic anomaly. Because forms are the leash you put on panic. My phone vibrated with a text from an unknown. Confirm intake at 3:13. 2 tiny hearts pulsed under. Double tap to confirm. Like the world had skinned itself with the dating app. The map preview put the dot inside of my office. Then, behind, my chair. Then. I turned the phone face down. It warmed like an animal under a blanket. I took photos of the notebook without touching it. The way you document other people's choices. The wax looked new and tired at the same time. The string had knotted itself twice, a sailor's courtesy. On my desk pad, I wrote, Quiet night. Because Dixon likes to see that lie in blue ink when he checks the book. The letters looked wet a second longer than ink should. At 11:17, the radiator and the streetlight and the building S small electric sins aligned. One long note, that found my teeth and counted them. In that held cord, the porter's file cabinet shivered against its rails like a sleeper scratching, and the frosted glass fogged from the hall side in a perfect palm. 5 long ovals and a heel that slid one patient inch before thinning. I wiped my side of the door with the hem of my coat, like a person who believes cleaning changes outcomes. The notebook tapped twice on the desk without moving. Measured, patient. I put both hands flat on the wood on either side of it and felt an answering pressure through the lacquer like a hand under the desk, pressing up to agree we could both exist. The label printer coughed a second strip into the tray, edges damp. Leave the file. Sealed. I've tailed gamblers into worse neighborhoods than superstition. I put the envelope and the photo in an evidence bag, wrote, "No open, client present only," on the sticker, and locked it in the top drawer. The key in the drawer lock turned a hair on its own toward X-Ryu open, like a dog testing a boundary, and resettled when I said, "No," out loud. The photo's hallway looked like half the city's aging stock. I'd seen that runner. I'd seen that cheap brass one screwed on backward. I circled 3 addresses that could host such lies, and went down the stairs because staying felt like agreeing with something. The pawn guy was asleep in his chair, with a baseball game pretending hope on a small TV. The street held its breath. When I stepped onto the sidewalk, a car out of no year rolled past, and the fog on its inside window bloomed a palm tree. From the wrong side, slid us an inch, and vanished as if glass had learned modesty. The first building on my circle had a superintendent who collected fish tanks and grudges. The hallway was wrong, linoleum instead of runner, buzzer tones that sang a different key. The second address had the runner, wainscoting, a numbered door, 13-0, with the 3 torn off, like in my photo. The bulb over the landing buzzed in a patient stutter. The door had a mail slot that remembered knuckles. I raised my hand, and then 2 knuckles. From inside landed the same beat as my heart. Tap, tap, exact. My phone lit my coat through cloth. Confirm entry, 313. 2 small hearts pulsed. The brass slot licked light at me, as if a letter had tried to be born. I put my palm to the wood the way you do, to check the temperature of a bad idea. From the other side, pressure matched. Not hard, just a hand through a door, agreeing on the concept of door. The building S intercom, a different species of antique, breathed and offered a mercy in that careful wait. Leave. It sealed. The hall wanted to be quiet and failed. Pipes tapped in small conversational pairs, like punctuation learning English. A window at the far end, fogged from the winter air outside, and a palm wrote itself in slow arcs on the glass. From the hall side, slid out its inch and forgot. The bulb changed its hum, and for 4 breaths, hallway, radiator, elevator cables, aligned, one note, like a choir made of wrong metals. I wrote quiet hallway in my notebook because lies and logs share a family name. My phone vibrated with a photo from unknown. My office from above. The sealed notebook shining like a small moon. My own shoulders turning toward a door I wasn't in front of. The caption. Double tap to confirm. I slid the phone off, and the screen stayed lit long enough to flip to 3:13 and back to 11:41:1. Like a coin finding its face, the elevator arrived on the floor without being called and opened its mouth an inch waiting like a person who wants you to lean in first. The indicator miscounted. Up to 13. In a building that jumps from 12 to 14, as if numbers were opinion. The cage mirror showed me, then showed for one frame, a head. Leaning toward my left ear, mouth parted on the first half of "don't," and then had the decency to be brushed steel again. I went back to the office because sometimes walking away is how you keep the case. The door was exactly as locked as I had left it. The frosted glass had fogged in a higher top palm than I can reach, and Urker slid its inch. Inside, the notebook had moved 2 inches toward the edge of the desk, the way a glass migrates across a table in a bar story. The label printer had fed a third strip, edges wet. Don't acknowledge knocks. The desk phone rang once, stopped. Once, stopped. Dixon's rule is a life preserver. You keep inside your bones. I didn't pick up. The switchboard sighed. The careful voice said, "Don't go down." There is no down from my office, except the basement where the pawn guy keeps a box of doorknobs that remember other houses. The radiator knocked twice, like it had learned humor. At 12:06, the city did the aligned thing again. Streetlight hum, radiator tick, the transformer in the exit sign. One note that found the windows and held them. In that held breath, the top drawer of my file cabinet nudged Ida against its lock, like a sleeper turning over. I set my palm on the wood. From inside the drawer, pressure matched. Agreeable, not urgent. I did the brave thing that isn't. I wrote the retainer agreement. Client, scope, terms. We keep the file sealed until daylight. I signed it and slid it into the drawer, because contracts are spells that sometimes fool even the dark. The notebook tapped twice again. The wax looked soft, as if a thumb had pressed it just now. My hands are not clever men. I looped the string once, not untying, only looping, like a person telling themselves they'll stop at the bar before the second drink. As soon as the string touched, the radiator, the exit sign, the streetlight, the building, my ribs, aligned. One long-held note that put tears in the hinge of my jaw. The switchboard whispered, "Kinder than law." Leave. It closed. The night passed like a slow witness. A cat screamed once outside, because cats have read cheaper stories. My coat learned the shape of my shoulders asleep in it. At 3:13. Because some hours volunteer to be the hinge in a night, every lamp in the office blinked once and held the radiator, let out one long breath, like a person deciding not to argue. And in the drawer, the new contract cooled like a fever broken. The notebook stopped tapping and learned manners. Dawn bruised the frosted glass into a color I call coffee. Dixon showed at 6 with the kind of pastry that keeps men alive past their limits, and a frown that has rent attached. "Quiet?" he asked, which is the way old-timers count the night. "Mostly," I said, and slid him the damp strips. He looked at, "Do not open the case," like it was a brand he couldn't DT source. "Printer's old," he said. "The manager's absolution for everything that deserves a priest." We took the notebook to a daylight table with a cradle and gloves, like we were about to read the will of a man who hated us. The wax was as cold as coins and as stubborn as family. I cut the string at noon, like a nurse. Inside, blank pages, no ink, no secret writing in lemon under heat. In the center, a single pressed palm in the paper, 5 ovals and a heel. Slid into the grain a patient inch. You could only see when the light remembered where to look. On the last page, in pencil hard enough to bruise the fiber, Someone had written, "Leave it sealed." Under it, the same hallway from the Polaroid had been sketched with a hand that had learned shaking as a language. The door number read 13 Haupttor. The knob had no shadow. We closed the notebook and sealed it again, because sometimes obedience is how you keep your job. I returned the envelope to my drawer and wrote, "Case deferred, unusual." In the index, because naming a thing at least lets you file it. I took more daylight cases after that, missing invoices, not missing people, and I tell myself it's because the rent likes money regular as rain. Some nights at home around 3:13, the hallway outside my apartment knocks twice, like the world practicing manners, and my peephole glass fogs, a thumb width higher than I can reach, voila, palm, clears a coin-sized circle, and Masseur slides a patient inch. My phone lights with unknown, confirm intake, and 2 small hearts that wait politely. When it does, I keep my hands off envelopes slid under doors I don't own. I don't answer rings that come in double. I don't open evidence for ghosts or clients who don't know their names in ink. In the steady voice the notebook taught me, I say, "The case stays closed." For a long, thin moment, the door cools under my palm as if another hand has matched mine through it, and agreed. The building breathes in one note, like a file room pretending to be a choir, and whatever has been practicing my name in the frosting, mouth parted on the first half of Don't Investigator with worse paperwork, and leaves me to build daylight for work I can put on a receipt.
If you survived this far, leave your like to prove you are not afraid.